But I'm not a black bitch, and I'm not a savage. But I'm scared that you might cheat on me with a black hood bitch, and she's gonna have a fat ass. Hey, I am a flat ass. Hey.
Travis Kelce used to date black women. That is his past. Get the fuck over it, white women! I am a huge fan of Taylor Swift, but good grief, that entire album was just microaggression after microaggression. Come on! He's with her now. Who cares who he dated? Stop coming after Kayla Nicole. What's wrong with you people? That is his past, right? He had a diverse dating history. Who the fuck gives a shit? He's marrying Taylor Swift, a billionaire white woman, and you guys are still pressed?
I have been afflicted by the world and all its limits. I work twice as hard to prove that I am brave. 'Cause I'm not what they're used to. All American youth keep on cutting me down to size, but there's history in my eyes. My skin is an ocean, memories in motion. There's a beauty that's kept inside when they tell you you're not what they had in mind. Stay in line. Hi.
This is hilarious.
If Taylor Swift was a decent human being, she would call off her cult of Swifties and would ask them to stop harassing Travis Kelce's ex. But no, instead, she doubles down and writes a song where she basically says that now that he's dating a white woman, he's better off. A good person doesn't do that.
So here we go again, and now Taylor Swift is obsessed with black women. You know, on behalf of all the black women, we do not care. We do not care. We do not care who you want to date. We don't care who you want to be with. We don't care who you want to have. We don't care where we want to go. We don't care who hate us. Like, from black women to the world, we do not care. We don't care if Taylor Swift ate us. We don't care if Taylor Swift 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 us. We don't care. We don't care. We don't care. Like, what? We don't care.
This comment is perfect. The only thing I would change about it is the world is learning about the power of the Black American woman's influence and dollar. I'm not gonna give y'all another TED talk. The long and short of it is people are gonna learn to deal with this reciprocity from Black women. If you're an artist like a Tyla that's coming from an African nation or Caribbean nation, y'all trying to make an imprint here, y'all are gonna learn to stop getting started. Well, we're not like you Black women. We're different. I'm not just another Black girl. I'm a pretty little girl from Joburg. Like, we get what that is. We understand tone. We get inference. You're better. You're more unique. You haven't been tainted with the stain of slavery the way we Black American women have. We get it. And y'all are gonna learn that's energy. We read that energy from Tyla and her team in these interviews. We read it, we got it, and we responded. It's called matching energy. It's called reciprocity from Black women. And y'all are gonna learn the way Tyla is learning that when you are living, when your existence is outside of the sunshine of Black women's attention and interest, especially in this attention economy, it's gonna be cold out there for you. It's already hard enough for established artists to make money, much less new ones. It was not smart for you to come in on some, I'm different. We're different than you. We're different. Yeah, you're different. Okay, cool. And Black women, we're gonna learn our lesson, and we're learning it now. We're gonna get better at it and more powerful with it when we start to feel the euphoria of the effects. Because I'm not gonna lie, I feel good. I'm glad the project flops. I don't like seeing people in pain and suffering in the comments because I know a lot of them are bots, or I know a lot of them are children, or I know a lot of them are just sad, miserable people looking to rage bait, but I'm kind of enjoying it. Y'all gonna learn. And it's not even the Black people are mad. I swear we didn't even know. And I'm not gonna trip like I don't like the song. I like that little water song. I liked Bacardi. I liked it so much. We did all kinds of research and stuff before I went to South Africa last summer. Of us, yeah, we like to do research before we go someplace and start having opinions and start enjoying culture. So yeah, and we learned, we understand y'all's oppression really isn't much different than ours. It's just younger, but black supremacists and right in the middle colored, that little, and right in the middle colored. A little bit more proximity to the oppressor, make you feel a little bit more privileged, give you a little special place to live, which they still ransacked, which is still poverty stricken. There's museums to it in South Africa, which I attended and I went to with my children. Because I'm thoughtful and I'm educated and I like to learn a little bit about something. You would think with all the money, the energy, and hopefully the intelligence behind rolling out a new artist, trying to make someone from South Africa this like international Rihanna-like superstar, you would think you would do a little research on our community, but that's all right. Black women are learning. We are learning. It's almost like we're all going to therapy together. One of the main things we learn in therapy is when something harms you, it's hurtful to you. You pick up that malicious intent, you move away from it. And that is what black women are doing. When you've gone through trauma and you're like a people pleaser, oldest daughter, the way a lot of black women are, we're like, no, please, like us. Let us prove our love. We can only be loved if we're suffering, if we're trying to earn your love. Yeah, no, black women have learned something very different, and Tyla is a recipient of the benefit of that knowledge. Congratulations. And congratulations to us as black women, feeling our strength, feeling our teeth a little bit. We're not preying on anybody's downfall. That's the whole problem. Didn't nobody know this girl had a project? So good luck. That's an awesome comment. They gonna learn. Yeah, Tyler, the people in our industry, they were trying to tap into this 1.8 million spending power dollar that black people, and a lot of it is black women, control. That's why they're trying to eliminate us from the workforce. They know that we're the financial engine in the black community. The truth is just the truth. So I'm sorry Tyler had to learn the hard way. Other people should learn from her example. Cheers. I love that comment. Just perfect in its simplicity and truth. Has everybody learned a little something today about the power and the influence of black women? Good luck out there. Good luck trying to exist, trying to flourish outside of the warmth of our attention and our glow. Good luck.
This is hilarious. You remember the video I made about Taylor Swift and Kayla Nicole? Alright. This isn't stopping. I think this war isn't stopping. You know, when the black folk are on something, it doesn't stop until they're done and through with it. Okay, so Taylor Swift's new album, The Life of a Showgirl, has stirred major controversy all over the internet, especially among black people. Many fans say that the project feels tone deaf and it disconnects totally from the culture that helped build her career. Remember, Taylor Swift has a lot of black fans, and globally, black people support or used to support Taylor Swift. But right now, the tension between Taylor Swift and Kayla Nicole, who is an ex to Travis Kelce, is reigniting a very, very big conversation about how black women are often disrespected and erased. For over a decade, black women have powered the attention economy and defined what's cool. But right now, feeling disregarded, many are pulling back their support for Taylor Swift, and the reaction is shaking the industry.
Y'all, wait a minute. Taylor Swift just dropped a necklace, and wow, this is wild. So Opalite was the only song I liked on first listen, but then I saw black women on TikTok pointing out the racial undertones. And let me be clear, I always trust black women. They know microaggressions better than anyone. Here's my take. Maybe Swift didn't intend harm, maybe not. But she's in a position of power. She should have known better. And because of that, I stopped streaming the album. Now let's break down this necklace. The lightning bolts, not just any bolts. They're S-style, 8 of them. That's H, the 8th letter. I've seen this before. My dad had these tattoos in a white supremacist gang. And then there's an iron cross. This is not random. Here's my personal opinion straight up, if she didn't know. Her team clearly has zero cultural awareness. And if she did know, that's disrespect on another level. She needs to apologize, fix the design, make it right. I've spent years loving her music, but this Swiftie card handed in. And I am not exaggerating. This is as obvious as day.
Hey fellow Swifties, this video is specifically for the non-Swifties, specifically for people who are curious about a Black Swifties take on the recent controversy, people calling Taylor racist, and also saying that she has implied very specific racist things in her lyrics, specifically with Opalite. We are going to go down the rabbit hole of Taylor Swift's lyrics throughout her discography. Excuse my voice, I am under the weather, but we're going to try and get through this as fast as we can. I received this question: as a Swiftie, do you feel there are microaggressions and racial undertones in the new album? Just trying to educate myself and hear from your perspective. As a regular listener, I literally religiously listen to her lyrics. I analyze her lyrics. I went to her Speak Now tour in 2011 in Korea when I was living there. From the very beginning of her discography, she has always referenced daytime to nighttime, darkness and light. She has always referred to this as a part of her life, comparing her love. Before I get to that, I do want to reiterate, because I don't know if you guys realize this, but Taylor Swift did endorse Kamala Harris. She did this last year in September, literally 1 year ago. She literally said, I will be casting my vote for Kamala Harris. I will be casting my vote for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz in the 2024 presidential election. I'm voting for Kamala because she fights for the rights and causes I believe need a warrior to champion them. I think she is a steady-handed, gifted leader, and I believe we can accomplish so much more in this country if we are led by calm, not chaos. In 2010, we have lyrics from Back to December. People are gonna go run with this lyric. She says, "Miss your tan skin, your sweet smile, so good to me, so right." Maybe this is wishful thinking, probably mindless dreaming, but if we loved again, I swear I'd love you right. She continues on with, I'd go back to December, turn around, and change my own mind. Swifties know that this song is about Taylor Lautner. He is the one person that she has sang about in a positive light, regretting how she treated him. There are so many instances in her discography where she talks positively about people with blue eyes, and she makes metaphors and connects things about people's blue eyes. But in this song, she is talking about something positive about Taylor Lautner's tan skin. She's not only pointing out things physically about him or people like blue eyes or tan skin, she is also referring to how they treat her. So good to me, so right is what she said. Lyrics, she always uses imagery of times of the year, seasons, and here she's talking about December. December is the cold months, cozy times, but also dark times. You can look at these lyrics however you want, but we're going to continue on to the rest of her discography and share how she talks about dark and light. Stay tuned for part 2.
Black Swifties to the front. I got questions. I am a little taken aback by the response that I've seen. Maybe it's just my For You page, but a lot of Black women are defending Taylor Swift and sticking up for her and saying that, you know, her lyrics and her content, her music, it's not racially charged, especially the I'm a bad bitch, I'm a savage, whatever controversy. And look, I hear what you guys are trying to say, but it is not your job to defend white person facing racist allegations. That is never something you should ever feel obligated to get on this internet and do, okay? And I'm going to tell you why. It's like getting an artist tattooed on you. You get older and then you find out that they like had a child with their nephew or some shit like that. Like, you don't know these people. You don't know their intentions. Enjoy the music for what you interpret it as. But if people have another interpretation of it, just accept it for what it is. I can't tell you for certain that she was being racist or she wasn't being racist. Do I believe she was? I definitely think the lyrics were a little racially charged. I used to be a Taylor Swift fan. Taylor Swift is a perpetual victim. She thrives. Her whole discography is her victimizing herself, being insecure, and constantly comparing herself to whatever women she's comparing herself to. I don't really accept that for who she is because she's a billionaire. She is the most popular pop star. And she's white, and she's blonde, and she's blue-eyed. So it doesn't matter what she tries to convince me through her lyrics and through her music. I can see her, and I can see that she matches the beauty standard in society. She is not the victim that she portrays herself to be. It doesn't matter how many songs she writes from that perspective. She is the cool girl that she is hating on. She can try her hardest to be this quirky outcast. I don't buy it. You're a billionaire. I don't buy you. You fly private. You are the cool girl. So that's my first point. Second point is, I used to be a really big fan of Elvis. I also used to be a really big fan of Justin Bieber and John Mayer. All three of them have appropriated Black culture in some way, shape, or form. John Mayer has made horrible, horrific comments about Black women. There are rumors that Elvis said that he would never let a nigga do anything but shine his shoes. And Justin Bieber literally got on camera and said, there's going to be one less lonely nigger. And all three of those individuals continued to have prosperous careers that were not tainted by those allegations. So I say all that to say what? If Taylor Swift is indeed racist, nobody's going to care. Nobody's going to give two fucks. It's not going to matter. It's not going to affect anything. She is already a global icon superstar. If she was racist, if anything, she'd get more fans. You don't have to defend this. Where I'm from, Travis Kelce and people like him dress like Black people. They wear chains. He has a Cleveland Heights chain. He was Nike teched down to the Timbs. Baby, where he's from, that's normal for white people. White people get to cosplay and tweak their identities to fit in wherever they are most successful. Travis Kelce would never dress the way that he did when he lived here in Cleveland Heights, when he was dating Black women. His whole persona has changed. We have a different type of whiteness here. If that whiteness don't fly in Taylor Swift world, I wonder why. I wonder why. Listen, I get it. You like the songs. The songs, you grew up with them. They mean something to you. I felt the same way about a lot of white people that I looked up to. We don't have to deny that. Nobody's trying to shame you for what you listen to. But you do need to think more critically about what you're consuming and why you're consuming it. And if you're just taking it at face value and you're building opinions about people based on the art that they produce through big machine label records, you need to just think a little more. And that's all I want to say.
Forget boring Barbie. Let's talk about backlash Barbie, because the response to Life of a Showgirl is giving rep era deja vu. And I think that might be on purpose. Swifties have been clocking the Reputation callbacks for months, but I don't think we were prepared for a rep era-like reception to the album. Everyone is turning on Taylor. It's the media, it's the music critics, it's her fans. It's like the Olympics of Schadenfreude out here. What if the backlash is another supporting character in the Showgirl story? A built-in part of the performance art. Taylor knows exactly how this movie plays out because she's done it before. The climb, the overexposure, the inevitable fall, and then the reinvention. So here's the thing. There's a reason that fans were thinking that maybe we were getting Karma, the Lost album with TS12. And it's not just because of Orange. She used the same producers. She used the same photographers. Everybody was quoting like rep lyrics on social, even the New Heights account. That one used lyrics from Dress, which I think is really interesting in so many ways, but like not getting into that yet. So here we are, watching the story play out all over again. Taylor's too much. She's too polished. She's too fake. She's too corporate. She's too Taylor. But really what it all comes down to is that she's too successful. So much easier to see her as the bitch than it is to see her as the baller. And when Rep came out, everyone sort of dismissed it as Taylor playing the victim. Now I feel like they're really more labeling her the villain. I don't think this is some kind of PR crisis. I think it's part of the concept, to go with the concept album. We keep saying she's in her performance art era. So maybe this is the art, the spectacle of fame, and what happens when people feel like you've flown too close to the sun, or whatever other metaphor you want to use. If that's true, the backlash isn't a glitch in the story, it's the inciting incident, the event that sets the story's main conflict in motion and causes the protagonist to have to take action. And in Taylor's case, that's reinvention. She is always the phoenix rising from the ashes, mending all her gashes. It is her own personal mythology. So is this Act 2? Act 3? The final act? I don't know. But it's definitely a story that I want to keep reading.
Taylor Swift's mediocre album Life of a Showgirl got popular because of her hate on Black women. She got people who would normally never listen to her music to play this album. She got more free advertising and marketing than this album could ever deserve. And I am not saying that we shouldn't have commentary or conversation around things that we know we need to talk about. She is a part of a bigger system that is definitely leading women, particularly white women, into the right wing's arms. But I think we have to figure out how we can engage and to have these discussions, and these people don't profit from it. I personally did not listen to any of the album, even though I did make a commentary about it on my YouTube channel. And someone actually is like, how dare you make commentary and you haven't listened to the album? And I thought, how dare I listen to an album that hates on Black women and make even more profit for this woman? It's bad enough I'm talking about it, right? But she did an interview just letting everybody know it doesn't matter if you loved her art or hated it or whatever the case may be. She still profits from our conversations. And the women that she uses as catalysts for those conversations get nothing out of it. I don't know, just something to think about.
So at the end of the day, right, intention and what actually happened are two different things. Right? So if I'm talking to somebody and in my head, I think calling someone a bitch is a nice thing to do because I call all my friends bitch, right? So if I in my head am thinking, yeah, calling people bitch, I know from my own experience and with the people that I surround myself with that that's okay. So I call someone random a bitch and they see that as, no, actually, that's kind of fucked up. Why would you say that to me? It doesn't matter what your intention is. Whether or not my intention was to be friendly, the impact that that had was negative on that person, right? What I can do when I find out about that impact, though, is say, oh my God, I am so sorry. I call my friends bitch, all of them, and it's because in my head, that's a positive thing. So when I called you that, that's not my intention. This is where Taylor has failed to do anything. And this is coming from somebody who's like been a fan of hers for years. Not a full Swiftie, but like I follow her life. I listen to her albums for the most part. I would have defended her before. But people are telling her, hey, you know that line about the whole neighborhood looking like you? Maybe what you intended was, I want to have lots of kids with you. What it comes across as is that you want to build a white neighborhood. And what she could respond to that with is, oh my God, that was not my intention. Now I see that the 8 lightning bolts on my necklace were a little off. Maybe we should adjust that. Instead, it's the I'm not going to say anything, so she has plausible deniability, and y'all are going to do the same thing and back her up every single time. You cannot be a mastermind who writes all of these incredible songs and incredible lyrics, and it's so deep you wouldn't understand, but also not understand the racial undertones that your music and therefore merch have as a result of that. Have the day you deserve.
I see white women are in a frenzy because Taylor Swift released a bad album. Beloved, her music has never been good. That's one. And two, I think this is also time to bring back the conversation about the dangers of infantilizing white women. I say bring back because Black women have been saying this for many, many years. What is infantilization? Basically, taking a woman, Taylor Swift is 35, yet you still depict her as a child. We still talk about her as this 19-year-old blonde, blue eyes, innocent girl who needs protection because in 2009 VMAs, she was interrupted on stage by Kanye West, who after that interruption actually received death threats, even lynching threats. Why that is? Because it played in one of America's favorite fantasies, which is depicting the white woman as innocent and punishing the Black man. White women's tears and the depiction as weak has been used to justify lynching, segregation, state violence, policing of Black men and women as well. That kind of story is also prominent in the healthcare system. Take, for example, a white woman going to the doctor, crying, telling them about their symptoms. How are they met? They're met with empathy, usually, right? With appropriate treatment. For Black women, though, it's a different story. Black women are more likely to be ignored for their symptoms. They are more likely to experience racism in every stage of their medical journey, from the moment that they pick up their phone to schedule an appointment to the moment of the follow-up after their appointment. They are 3 to 4 times more likely to die of pregnancy-related complications. And 50% of white medical students have reported that they believe that Black patients have thicker skin and can tolerate more pain. And this has implications because, one, again, believing your patient's symptoms, and two, prescribing them the appropriate medications. The infantilization of Taylor Swift is the same kind of infantilization that we see the average white woman. I mean, think Amy Cooper calling the police on Christian Cooper, the black bird watcher, or the woman who falsely claimed that Emmett Till whistled at her inappropriately, which led to his brutal killing. The infantilization of white women has been used in this country for many years, and it has dire consequences. And yes, you should call out that behavior and hold those people accountable. But I also find it absurd that it took a bad album from that white lady for you to start to have these conversations finally. Reflect on yourself as well.
There has been a lot of discourse around Taylor Swift's new album, The Life of a Showgirl. One of the most prominent critiques right now are that some of the songs are racist and microaggressive. Some people see it as microaggressive, and some people feel like there's no racism at all, that she is just talking about her experiences. But I think what a lot of people fail to realize is that the function of a dog whistle or microaggression is that it is meant to be ambiguous. Dog whistles and microaggressions are plausibly deniable on purpose. It is meant to chip away at your self-concept while absolving the perpetrator from all responsibility. You can often feel that there is something wrong with what someone said, but you can never quite point it out because it is so subtle. Calling it out ends up making you look crazy. The perpetrator is almost always let off as not knowing or not meaning it that way. And because of the ways that we have been conditioned, many people will side with the unknowing white person. We've been conditioned to see them as peer or as victims. Even if someone is unknowing, a lot of people don't realize is that a lot of us have been socialized through media and messages to absorb specific harmful tropes. And those specific harmful tropes impact how we see people and how we treat them. In order to understand why some of the content in Taylor Swift's new album is controversial, I think it's important to look at the history of the dehumanization of Black women in the US. And yes, before you ask, it does stem from slavery. We all know that during slavery, slave masters R-worded Black women. Slavery was justified by dehumanizing Black people, and the mistreatment of Black women was justified by dehumanizing us and giving us the stereotype of Jezebel. Jezebel is a sexually loose and immoral woman, and it painted Black women as hypersexual, loose, and seductive. This made it easier to exploit them in that way because they could just justify it by saying that they wanted it. On the other hand, white women have always been viewed as pure, feminine, delicate, and chaste. Once slavery ended and previously enslaved people had to make a life for themselves, Black men were often denied the ability to gain employment. This was often done by their white counterparts. Black women, on the other hand, were able to pick up domestic work. So when previously enslaved people made families, that meant that Black women were often the breadwinners. That also meant even if they did have children, they weren't able to take care of them because they had to work, often being forced to care for the white children of the families that they worked for. Because they were the breadwinners and because they didn't take care of their children in a traditional sense, as in a white, Western, nuclear family ideal, Black women were seen as less feminine, and because white women didn't work and stayed home, they were seen as the ideal of femininity and womanhood. This has carried out into dominant stereotypes today, where Black women are still often seen as hypersexual and masculine, while white women are still often seen as the picture of femininity as well as the beauty standard. As you already know, but I'm going to reiterate anyway, this is precisely one of the main issues with white feminism, is that it only accounts for the struggles of white women who are privileged and wield a lot of power in society, and not of the intersectional experiences of Black, Indigenous, and women of color experience both racism and sexism, both of which intersect in complex ways even today in society. It's also precisely the issue that people have with Travis Kelce dating Black women and then marrying Taylor Swift, because it reinforces this long-held idea and standard that Black women are just for fun and white women are to settle down and marry with. And this historical context is also what makes Taylor Swift's lyrics, intentional or not, so damaging, because she compares herself to his former Black partners in ways that reinforce this dynamic and these negative stereotypes about Black women. An eldest daughter, when she says, "But I'm not a bad bitch and this isn't savage," this is a direct reference to Meg Thee Stallion's song Savage, whom it's rumored that Travis Kelce tried to get at before he started dating Taylor Swift. We know that one of Meg's main things is reclaiming her sexuality on her own terms, in a way that empowers women to be confident and to step into their power. This is part of a long tradition of Black women reclaiming their power by subverting dominant narratives. And Black women have always used the word bad bitch in order to embody that idea of empowerment and agency. And whether or not a bad bitch is Black or not, the term bad bitch or baddie is a term that refers to aesthetics that co-opt Black culture, particularly Black women. And Taylor Swift contrasts this with her insecurities as well as a sense of moral superiority. She says, "I'm never gonna leave you out, I'm never gonna let you down." She reinforces the dynamic of her being the morally superior white woman as opposed to his previous bad bitch Black girlfriends. And that reinforces the stereotype of the Jezebel morally inferior Black woman. The same thing can be true when she calls herself opalite as opposed to onyx. Even if she didn't mean it that way, the historical context makes it loaded. This is what people mean when they say that things are racist, even if you can't see it, because the way that we view racism and microaggressions relies on historical context. Same is true for Wishlist when she calls Travis Kelce just opposed to his ex-girlfriend. Contrast her or their want for material goods with her want for a suburban life where she is the perfect, pure mother and wife. I think it's easy to see this as not intentional or not racist because most women do compare themselves to their person's exes. Obviously, look at them in the worst light if we feel like they did something to her our now person. But the context changes when you are a rich, white billionaire who positions themselves as the perpetual victim against this idea of hypersexualized and materialistic Black women. And it's even worse when you are the biggest pop star in the world, because the reality of the rhetoric of such stereotypes do reinforce systemic inequalities. They do carry messages that are harmful, especially harmful in this current cultural and political climate where Black women are actively under attack. Perhaps it's an honest mistake. If you watched my recent story time, you know that I made a similar one. In a recent wedding speech, I strung together a bunch of words that could have evoked the idea of a dumb blonde trope, and even if I didn't mean it, that impact matters, because some saw it as a harmful stereotype that relied on the dehumanization of women. And that is as someone who has a master's degree in rhetoric and teaches English at the college level. So I am not the morality police because we all make mistakes. But I do hope that Taylor Swift eventually educates herself on intersectional feminism and does better in the future.
The life of a showgirl is flopping, and I'm going to explain to you why I think that is as someone who's been in marketing and business for the last 10 years. So I've been talking a lot here about how the way that you are successful and the way that people like Taylor Swift have become so successful is that they build a mythology around their brand and they build a world the way that a fantasy author builds the worlds in their books. Now, this album, there was a world that was built from the moment that she was on the New Heights podcast and was talking about how she viewed this album, what the inspiration was, which was the behind the scenes of a showgirl, what the showgirl life is like after you get off of the Eras Tour stage, when you get home at night, or you get to your hotel at night and you're in the bath and you're taking the makeup off and your body is sore and tired from, having to push yourself to the extremes every single night, right? That's what we were given. And then we got these images that were, very glamorous, but also kind of dark, and giving us like maybe there's a seedy underbelly of being a showgirl, right? But the actual music did not match that. Like there was an incongruence between the world that was built and then the actual songs. And so that's one of the biggest mistakes there. But also the biggest thing about Taylor Swift's mythology is that she's a lyricist, that she writes. She's a great songwriter. And from my perspective, as a Swiftie for a very long time, when I think of lines from way back when she was even like a teenager that are like, you made a rebel of a careless man's careful daughter, okay? That compared to literally like anything that we got on that album. One of the lines in the album that was about, she literally said something makes her wet. And I just don't associate that with Taylor Swift. What I associate with Taylor Swift are things like Guilty as Sin from Tortured Poets Department here, which is my bed sheets are ablaze. I screamed his name, building up like waves crashing over my grave without ever touching his skin. How can I be guilty of sin? So we're talking about sexy stuff, but it's clearly from this like elevated perspective, and what she did in this album, I feel like it just doesn't fit with who we think Taylor Swift is.
Taylor Swift might not be a bad bitch and she might not be a savage, but she sure as fuck is a dumb bitch and an insecure girl. Over this past weekend, The Life of the Showgirl has been debuting with absolute ass reviews. From the lazy and unintelligent writing to the blatant micro and macro aggressions that are just rampant throughout this whole album, this is a stinker. And as a Taylor Swift hater, I can't tell you how thrilled I am to see this happen. Because for the better part of a decade, a lot of us lived in the reality that Taylor Swift is not that great and that everyone else who is a Swiftie is clearly on that Kool-Aid. And finally, it seems like the blonde wool has been pulled off of their eyes and they are seeing her for what she is. This emperor has no clothes. This whole album only proves Taylor's critics to be correct. That she is not as talented as everyone has claimed for her to be. We all have agreed that she's not a great vocalist, but the thing her fans always clung to is that she's this amazing lyricist. She's the songwriter of the century.
One of her Swifties correctly put it, her boyfriend must give her CTE by proxy, because where was the writing on this? I'm sorry. There wasn't in the room, that's for sure. But you know what was in the room? Her anti-blackness. For, again, many, many years, black women have said, we don't feel seen or represented in her music, so why the fuck would we listen to it? And everyone comes back gaslighting like, no, her music is for everyone. Really? With micro and macro aggressions like that, it sure the fuck doesn't sound like it. She was never beating those allegations with me, but she damn sure isn't beating them now. Because that leads me to the other point. She's the company she keeps. She's very clear about that, and she's very much okay with it. So now her fans have to be okay with it. Her circle consists of nothing but MAGA supporters, including her fiance. And she has said publicly with this album that she's okay with that. So that means her fans have to either be okay with that or not. But the fact is, she is aligning with this, and this album had nothing but dog whistles approving that. Ultimately, I do think she is a showgirl, and that she has been putting on a performance for the last 20 years of being a girl's girl, being someone her fans can relate to, when ultimately, that's not who she is. Hi, hello. I hope you're having a wonderful Saturday evening. I know I am. This is a mirror. It's not very big, it's not very clean, but I want to have it here for Swifties so that way they can look at it and understand this is who's responsible for, Taylor Swift's album being shit. You, her fan base, you are the reason why she is flopping so hard this week. Because of you guys, she truly believes her own hype. She truly believes that she's just some woman with a guitar and these words for you guys to just digest and understand. Like, that is her narrative. And those voice notes, voice memos were a very clear example of that. Those could have quite literally stayed in the draft. She didn't have to share that with people, but she did, because she thinks that her art is more important than it actually is. She uses a lot of big words, a lot of fluff, but there's really never really been any substance there. And this album really shows that. It's very immature, it's very not well thought out, and her fans are calling out for it. And a lot of them are trying to figure out, like, what happened, what was the missing piece. There was no missing piece. It was just you guys. And within this bubble, you made it so that way no one can critique her without it seeming like they hate her. So I hope this is like a lesson for fan stan culture. Criticism is a big part of art. It's the whole reason why we should be consuming art, is to have an opinion about it. Because art without feeling is just empty. And we are witnessing a whole bunch of empty coming from Miss Swift right now.
So I stopped listening to Taylor Swift years ago when I realized that she was mentally still stuck in high school. But in recent years, I did not revisit her music because she likes to date racists. And now she herself is aligning with a white supremacist pipeline and using her music as a tool to continue to perpetuate really nasty and disgusting stereotypes about Black women. Because she's insecure, and therefore the rest of us have to deal with the consequences of the fact that she is dating a man who probably wouldn't date her under any normal circumstances, other than the fact that she happens to be super popular and she is a very wealthy woman. And now people are finally realized, now that her mask is off, that she is exactly who we all have been saying she was from the very beginning. And she's been hiding in plain sight for a very long time, pretending to be a feminist, to give a damn about very real issues impacting people who look like her and people who don't look like her. And she's been able to present this image of just being so helpless and being held down, boggled down by the industry, by her team members, by society for not allowing her to speak up and speak out. And instead of other white women holding her accountable, they continue to prop her up, refusing to have any sort of genuine discussion about how toxic and dangerous she is to the lives of all of us, but especially to the women who listen to her music. And now we're going to see the repercussions of that.
Taylor Swift has zero impact on the Black community. This is a fact that we know, and as a Black man, I can speak boldly about that. Are there Black Swifties? Absolutely. Does anything that Taylor Swift does move the needle within the Black community? No chance. I said that, and the Swifties apparently lost their mind because this woman said, I needed to be humbled by Swifties. Taylor Swift does not have an impact on the Black community at all.
So I had recorded this video and I had said that Black Swifties should go and humble him. If you are a Black Taylor Swift fan and you do not like people speaking for you, or if you just take exception to the idea that if you are Black, you have no business being a Taylor Swift fan. If that irks your fucking nerve and you want to let him know that he doesn't know what he's talking about, then I invite you to go to his page and let him know that there are plenty of Black people who are Taylor Swift fans. And
Give me a minute.
I'll always say we live in two different realities in America, because there's an America in which Taylor Swift is their God. She is like the pinnacle of all things they aspire to be. And they can't fathom that for Black people, she's not anything we aspire to be. And it's because to be Black in this country and in the world is to have to be exceptional, have to be 10 to 20 times better than your average white person in order to climb the ladder, get recognition, be considered good. So when we see someone who's mediocre, like Taylor Swift, she is a mediocre white woman who sings mediocrely, who performs mediocrely, which is fine. You know, I think you guys get so offended when you say that, but the majority of the people in this world are mediocre. White, Black, brown, Asian, Latino, the majority are. Now, mediocre means different things for different groups, yes. But Taylor's mediocre. Taylor has no impact on the Black community. Nothing she does moves the needle in the Black community. And I would go as far as to say as the Latino community as well. But yeah, I think it's hilarious that you made a whole video telling them that they need to humble me for a fact that I'm stating. Taylor Swift has fans from every demographic, but the bulk of her fans are white people.
Taylor Swift is and will always be a white woman with white woman privileges. And she honestly only ever looks out for herself. And before anyone comes for me, I genuinely don't care, because I have always felt this way about Taylor. I've never been a fan of hers from day dot. I have seen through those crocodile tears, and she does not get a pass from me, period. I'm not saying this because I don't like her. I'm not saying this because I don't think that women shouldn't win. I am all about a woman getting her bag, especially when she's in a male-dominated field. However, if you hold that much power, that much influence, and you stay silent on the things that matter, yeah, you're showing us exactly where your values lie. And it's not just the silence. She surrounds herself day in and day out with people who openly support Trump and still calls them friends. And while we're on the subject, let's talk about politics for a second, okay? I find it very, very funny that Taylor Swift only endorses a president after she's been bullied into it. So, for example, Trump calls her a freaking cat lady, boo fucking who, but suddenly she's on the Kamala train, she's got something to say about it. Cute. That's not courage. Yeah, no, that's called self-preservation. Meanwhile, immigrant families, yeah, they're being torn apart. LGBTQ plus rights are under attack. Women are fighting. Women are fighting for reproductive freedom. And there's a genocide happening in Gaza. And what do we get from her, right? What have you heard from Taylor? Yeah, nothing. Silence. But on the flip side, when it's time for her to drop the 15th version of the same fucking album she's been singing about, that she's been writing about since she was basically in middle school, she is front and center. Her fans aren't just suburban teens, okay? They're immigrants. They're queer folks. They're Black and brown fans. Hello? People spending their hard-earned cash, their money, on her expensive ass tickets, her merch, her brand. And you're telling me she can't even use a fraction of her voice or her billions to stand with them. Here's what I don't get. Why do liberal Taylor Swift fans give her a pass? Like, yes, she's a public figure. And no, that doesn't allow us every inch of her personal life. But then how do you explain her getting onto her boyfriend's podcast for 2 fucking hours and talking about bread? Okay, like you want to share that, but you don't want to share anything else? Nothing else for the class? You don't have time to acknowledge the world around us is burning the fuck down?
There are no such thing as ethical billionaires. I get that. But if you can use your voice for profit, you can also use it for justice, for your fans, for the people that you claim to love so much. And I know this is a spicier post than I usually would put out there. Most days, I really do like to just lead with positivity, with fun, with bookish, being empowering. But sometimes, sometimes you've just got to name the thing, all right? And today, the thing is that Taylor Swift does not get a pass. Doesn't get one from me, and she should not get one from you.
Here's the deal. Taylor Swift's new album is bad. I am a certified Taylor Swift not liker. I don't hate her. I don't wish for bad things to happen to her. I don't have like any animosity towards her. I just simply don't like her, which is completely fine because we don't have to like everybody. But her new album it's not good. Like, objectively, it is not a good album. She's got some bangers. She's got some good songs. I will give credit where credit is due. You know, I love Dress. I love False God. I love Cardigan. I love that song that's like, the more that you say, the less I know. Wherever you stray, I follow. That one. But this new album is bad. I wasn't going to listen to it. I ended up listening to the first half of it, like half of each song, because that's truly all that I could stomach. And it doesn't even sound like her. It doesn't even sound like her. Also, like, the discourse over there being some racial undertones, I'm not gonna lie, I don't disagree. I think some of the songs are very questionable. And if you disagree with that, personally, I question your listening comprehension skills, because there are some microaggressions in that one song where she's talking about being a savage and not being a bad bitch and whatever. I know some people are going to be like, she's not racist. She voted for Kamala. Yes, you're right. Because if you have one black friend and dated one Spanish guy in high school and voted for a half black woman, half Asian woman for president, you are obviously not racist. Regardless of the racism aspects going around the album, like, the album itself is just not good. And I've seen a lot of TikToks now of even people who are like, I'm a Swiftie, I'm an ex-Swiftie, I like her music, just say also that, like, the album is bad. And we just need to accept the album is not good. Travis Kelce is not the muse that Taylor Swift needs. Like, bring back the albums where she's, I don't know, writing poetry or whatever the fuck you guys say that she's doing in her songs all the time. But this album, and I've seen this also a lot too, like, it truly does sound like what, I think most of her songs already sound like, but it sounds like a toddler or like a high schooler wrote an album. Also, not to mention her reactions and her way that she's bringing publicity to this album, knowing that she's getting bad reviews on it and people aren't satisfied, should be enough to also tell you that, like, the album's not good. Like, she wouldn't be defensive of it if she knew that it was some of her best work that she put out. So, bye.
He saved you from the fate of Ophelia? Taylor Swift, if you're listening, please shut the fuck up. I'm begging you, bitch.
Okay, I feel the need to weigh in on the Taylor Swift discourse that's happening right now. I've been a Swiftie since 2021, okay? Been loving it here. Like, I mean, there's some great people in this community, and I think we get a bad rep. But, like, at least my side of the internet that I occupy, it's generally quite positive and quite good vibes, and I feel very welcome here, right? But there are a lot of people who are asking, oh my gosh, do you think Taylor Swift is a racist? And do you feel personally offended by the lyrics of Opalite? And to that I say, I genuinely cannot fathom the fact that people will read the lyrics of Opalite or Wishlist or Eldest Daughter and think Taylor Swift is racist. Oh, Taylor Swift is a white supremacist, right? And so I'm choosing to believe that one of two things, is happening. So number one, you guys don't understand the word that you read. Like, you lack reading comprehension. Like you don't quite understand how words fit together in context, right? Or you've already decided that Taylor Swift is a racist, right? And so you're grasping at anything that you can grasp at so that, it can fit that narrative. But the thing is that you are not going about that in a smart way, because your, you know, lyrics that prove that she's racist can quite easily be debunked with context. That word, context. Have a couple kids got the whole block looking like you. Not got the whole block. Have a couple kids got the whole block looking like you. If you need me to explain that to you, I can't help you, right? I mean, you guys try to do the exact same thing with I Hate It Here. She literally said, I'd want to go back to a decade like the 1930s. Everyone was like, oh my god, she's a racist. Oh, but the next lyric is, but without all the racists. Right. You guys looked at the lyrics of Opalite. Sleep is through the onyx night, now the sky is opalite. Oh, okay. Did you guys listen to TTBD? Did we listen to the same album? Did we? Because that was dark. It was dark and it was melancholic, and she was really going through a lot, right? But now the sky is opalite because Travis is in her life. Are you guys is this like in Eldest Daughter? She says, "I'm not a bad bitch. This isn't savage." Oh, so when you hear those two words, you guys associate that with black women? Like, that's automatically what you... Do you know what I'm saying? Like, the fact that you guys are jumping to the conclusion that that's about black women says a lot more about you than it does about her. So, yeah. Do with that information what you will. That's just my take. I think that you guys are either really stupid or you guys are purposefully misunderstanding her, but I don't believe that people are reading that and genuinely believing that she's racist, because then we have bigger issues to talk about, you know?
Taylor Swift knows she's not Travis Kelce's type, and that's what the album gave me. So not only was the album trash and the lyrics were trash, it gave, I'm jealous because I'm not my future husband's type. You look at his dating history, you see all these beautiful women. You look down her dating history, you see all these mediocre looking men, and then you get to the end and Travis is her best pull. Her best pull. You look at Travis's dating history and she is his worst pull. And she's insecure because she knows that the entire internet, everyone can see that he settled for her looks-wise because she's a very famous singer and a billionaire. Which, honestly, that's game. And game recognized game, so whatever. But she's very, very insecure about it. And that's all this album gave. Like, I'm jealous and I'm insecure, but I want to have your babies and you're mine and your dick is so big. And I was just like, is this Taylor Swift or Sabrina Carpenter? And I can't even compare her to Sabrina Carpenter because that would be so insulting to Sabrina, because that's Sabrina's niche, that very sexualized pop, and she eats at it. It seemed like Taylor Swift was taking a page out of her book, but then using like a Blake Lively view on it. I'm blonde and I should be the one that you want, and like, I have you, but my mind is elsewhere. I don't know. She was just a fucking mess. It was just bad.
Thank you for watching Great Minds Blacks.